So today is Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, and it's Nandotsav, the grand festival of Nanda Maharaj, for the appearance of little baby Krishna. So are we being Italian or being international English?
Fluent English.
Okay, so in this world, whenever we have the appearance days, in this world, whenever we have the appearance days of particular gurus, disappearance days of particular gurus, then in particular, really, it's the day for their disciples, their direct disciples, to give some glorification, some history, share some experience, share their teachings and life with us all. And so we are fortunate, and it's actually increasingly rare, to be in the association of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. And today we are in the association of Srileka Devi Dasi, who disciple of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev. And she will consider herself that she is a servant of all of the Vaishnavas. We know it, we've heard it from herself. So anyhow, she will consider herself in that way. But Mahaprabhu showed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Vaishnava etiquette. So even only by Vaishnava etiquette, then we must give so much honor to those who are the godbrothers of our Guru, the godbrothers of our Guru's Guru, etc., etc. But not only by etiquette, but by appreciation and by life's experience of hearing her talks and her sharing, and of her family and those who are around her. Then we are very happy to have Srileka here and to share some nectar from the lotus feet of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Okay, you got a lot to live up to now, so don't give up. Are you happy there, or should you come a bit more forward? How's the camera doing?
Good.
Good. Okay. Maybe I'll move backwards. Okay. Over to you. You've got 2 microphones. You can have 2 more if you want. Make sure we can all hear you nicely.
Jana Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajaka Acharya Sita Shri Sriman Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, Maha Mahotsav ki Jai, Shri Vyasa Puja ki Jai. I was listening. This is when we came to the Holy Lotus Feet of Srila Prabhupada. I was living in Toronto. I wasn't living in Toronto. I was living in a city, a little town above there. But I used to hitchhike into town on the weekends. And I just turned 19, and we were, it's true that we, with our friends, we used to talk about truth, what was true, what had to be true must be true all the time. It must be true for everyone. It must be not caused by another thing. It had to stand on its own. And we were trying to find that a little bit. Spending some time with that. Decided I got to get out of the world. I was only eating brown rice. I was really thin. And just trying to find something. And then one day, we were out in the street. Well, actually, it was the day of the solar eclipse. It was the solar eclipse. And I was standing on top of the new City Hall in Toronto, just on the top, looking down, and everything came black because the sun went behind. And my favorite places, which were one record shop and a health food store, I was looking down at them, and they just looked like this, tiny, teeny tiny, and the lights were on. And I was thinking, oh, what is this? What are we seeing? What is real, And I went down, and I was walking along the street, and along came the devotees. And they had just moved into Toronto. They had just come there. And I was like, what is that? And then actually I met them before that at a peace march in Washington, D.C. in 1969. There was a peace march to stop the Vietnam War, which I didn't even know where Vietnam was, but I was just hanging out, and we saw the devotees there quickly because they were burning incense, and all of a sudden our eyes were like really watering, and we realized that they had thrown tear gas at them, and we were like, wow, we ran away. And we were chanting, actually, our group, my friend, we'd go out in the streets and chant Hare Krishna. But we didn't know anything about it. I mean, nothing at all. We just were, this is part of our, statement of our, whatever we were doing. And then we would go out. But anyway, then I saw the devotees, and they, I'll never forget, this one devotee, his name was Rudra. And he gave me a card, and he gave me a Back to Godhead magazine. And I gave him something, whatever I had in my pocket. And then I called up my friend and said, "Do you see those guys downtown?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." So we met up there. She didn't even come, actually. But I'm not from the city, so I didn't actually know how to take public transportation. So I walked. I walked about 1,000 blocks. It was, February, snowing and really cold. And we got there, and there was this picture. It's a famous picture of Srila Prabhupada, with books in the background, and he's sitting there very sober looking. And it was on the front window of the door, the window part of the door. And immediately my mind is like analyzing, is this real? Is this true? Is this, And then I'm just telling you among friends, this feeling came into me that you don't have to worry anymore. You're home. Oh boy, here we go. So, and then I walked.
It's a tear gas.
Yes, it's tear gas. Little remnants. Got a plumbing problem. And then, I walked in, and then the devotees, that temple was almost a replica of the East London temple. So the stairs are here, the temple room is here, and the two brahmacharis were coming down the hallway toward me and took my shoes off. It's a big pile of shoes. And they jumped over the banister because they couldn't get around because there's so many shoes, and went up the stairs. And I really felt like I had been one of them at one time. I thought, I used to be one of those people. And then we came in and went into the temple room, and Jai Pachaka is there. He's jumping way up in the, and I'm like, wow, okay, I can do that. I'm dancing away. And there's this picture. There weren't any deities there yet, but there's a big picture of Srila, of Mahaprabhu in black and white. You know that famous picture where he's like this, and those little huts are in the background, and some tears coming out, and I thought, who is that? And then I asked somebody after the arti was over, I'm like, who is that? And they said, that's God. I'm like, that's what you look like? They used to write letters to God, But I thought, wow, you look like that? It's like, oh my God. And then we ate, and I had only been eating rice. I said, no, I don't eat this kind of food. And he goes, that's what Krishna eats. Okay. So I finished everything, and then anything left on anyone else's plate, I was eating that too. And then I got talking, and then we were doing the dishes, and the next morning I got up. I went in the afternoon back to the temple, but they were gone out on Harinam. So I went, and then the third day I got up really, really early and got to the temple early and spent the whole day. And at the end of the day, they said, do you want to move in? This is how it was in those days. Honestly, we would just bring back people and they'd just move in. That was the influence of Srila Prabhupada. We had no surprise there. We'd be out in Harinam, and then people would just come home with us and move in and never move out. Just, want to move in? Okay. And we just moved in. I thought, but I had just gone there once, so I thought, well, what if I change my mind? And they said, well, there's the door. So, so I moved in. And then, I had to go home and tell my mother. So they dressed me all up in a sari. And I'd never worn a sari before. And I was going to hitchhike back home. And they said, no, you have to take the bus. So I took the bus. And when I stepped onto the bus, all my pleats came out on the floor. And I was like, stuffing them in there, waddled to the back of the bus. And I came in to my mother's house. She's having tea with one of her friends. And she just looked up and goes, what now? A tea lock and everything, waddling in with all my pleats. And then I showed her later a picture of this Back to Godhead magazine with Lord Vishnu on the front. And I said, Mom, this is God. This is God. And she goes, I don't think so. Anyway, I picked up all my stuff, headed out back to the temple. And, and then it all started. And Srila Prabhupada, we had only a few records we had one record, the Radha Krishna Temple album, that we played all day long, and a couple of classes on cassette tapes. That was it. That's all we had. We didn't have all this media and digital stuff, all this thing. But this Prabhupada chanting Hari Haraya was one of them. And can you imagine hearing this after coming in from this plane of the world? It was like the voice that soothed the whole Earth planet. With this, we couldn't understand, and I still don't. This is him chanting Hari Haraya. Calling out helplessly. That voice of real devotion and feeling negative within one's own self. This is so astounding, even to a person who doesn't know anything. That sound is so piercing. So we got to hear these kinds of things, and we were. Sorry, I'm really just plumbing,
I was trying to put it in order for you.
What? No.
Order aspect. If anybody out there has any,
I've got a lot of cloth here. Anyhow, I mean, it's inconceivable to think that there was that life could have gone on without having come to the holy lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. How would the earth planet have any joy? And so, he came over to the West older than I am and started things. And had 2 heart attacks on the boat. And, we all have heard that beautiful poem that he wrote, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. And, that first year in New York City was not easy for him at all. Oh, my God. It's going to be my mascot.
So few, I'm sorry.
I know. What's wrong with this country? No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, really, he wasn't in very good health or anything, but he had this burning necessity to please his divine master, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. And so he was there for a whole year with nothing really happening and no funds really, and living in the Bowery, which is a very not nice part of New York City at all. Very, where all the drug-addicted people go to and hang out, and they're just falling all over the, he was like, and the person who we shared a place with, they were stealing his stuff, and I mean, it was no joke, very difficult time. But, he's just, fully surrendered soul. He's a descending Vaishnava. He has no... And then he met some of the devotees, Hayagriva Prabhu and Bhavananda Prabhu, and they came and they just, oh, wow, are you from India? And just, he'd go into Tompkins Square Park and just chant by himself and then go home. And then everything happened quickly. And they got this place, Matches Gifts, as you all know. It's just a little storefront with a little sort of something you could make into a kitchen in the back, And Srila Prabhupada in the beginning was waiting in line for the bathroom. But so many people started moving in. Like he'd go out and then they'd all be chanting, or you've seen all those movies, those old movies. And somebody's playing another instrument or a trumpet, or somebody had people would bring their instruments and chant with Srila Prabhupada, and he's just chanting, and then they'd come home and he'd be cooking for them and serving them. And then one day he was talking about initiation, and Kirtanananda was there. You've heard those, have you ever seen those old movies? One boy's got his hair, and he's saying, yes, this is about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and everyone is actually, and he's preaching away. They say, and then the interviewer says, how long have you been here? He said, 2 weeks. So, it was like that, Srila Prabhupada was just like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. This is not anything to do with any good kind of thing. It's just my eyes are very leaky. So anyhow, thank you. And then he started talking about initiation. And then he gave initiation to the first devotees who took initiation, and he said, now you must bow down. And they didn't think of it like that. And they were like, yes, you must bow down to your guru. And they were bowing down, and then they realized something about who this person is. And in 10 years, he spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Anyway, we got the opportunity to open up a center in Chicago for Srila Prabhupada in 1972. And, that first year I came to the temple. We saw, we were initiated, and then our marriage was arranged. I went to Detroit, called my mother. I'm getting married tomorrow or the next day or something. She goes, oh, that's nice. What's his name? And I said, I don't remember. She goes, have you met this person? I said, no. Anyway, we went there. Next day, we were married. Srila Prabhupada just wanted to not have this whole little, people getting to know each other and all that. He said, just marry somebody and chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So we got married. And then we were sent off to start a temple in Cleveland first. And we did. And Srila Prabhupada was really happy with that. We bought a really nice house. But then we were told, we want you to go to Chicago. And then somebody else ran that Cleveland temple. So we went to Chicago, and first we were in a really little, like an apartment by the Lake Michigan. And then we found, or Nyasi Maharaj found this beautiful old YMCA building. We got it for nothing. I think the whole building cost $3,000. It was enormous. It had 20 rooms to stay in. And big, everything, all like a complete commercial kitchen. And, everything. And in Evanston's a very nice part of Chicago also. and then a huge gymnasium, right? Which was converted into the temple room. Kishori came, Gaura Nitai, and Lord Jagannath. So we had 3 altars. And Srila Prabhupada came there for Rath Yatra. And the whole of State Street was closed. I had nothing to do with making all these. I was just there with I was just a mom and trying to help out. But all this was happening, Sri Govinda Prabhu, my husband at that time, now Nyasi Maharaj, he did so much and started big Sankirtan, book distribution and all that. But anyway, Srila Prabhupada came there in 1970. I want to say 1974, maybe. I can't remember exactly. But the whole of State Street, the big main street of Chicago, was all closed for the Rath Yatra. 3 carts, and Srila Prabhupada there, sitting on Lady Subhadra's cart, chanting. And oh my God, you can't imagine how many people. Just half of Chicago, I think, was there. Huge prasadam. Prabhupada's throwing prasadam, and people are just catching it and just eating it. I mean, it was astonishing. Such a beautiful time. And we got to see him there. And he was super affectionate with everybody. But when he arrived from the airport, I didn't go to the airport. And we were just cleaning up, and somebody kind of was really nervous, and they were running, and they spilled water all over the entrance, like where Prabhupada would come in. And I was just, I don't know what to do. And there was no time. He was coming up the stairs. So I took my, sorry, and I was just wiping off the floor. And I looked up, and he's standing there. And I'm like, drip. Anyway, so lovely. And we saw him again in New York City. The last time we saw Srila Prabhupada was in New York City. And it was also for Rath Yatra. That's another thing. Srila Prabhupada was very fond of Rath Yatra. And we know that as a child, he also, that was his play. He would have a cart and make it into a Rath Yatra cart and put Lord Jagannath there, and all of his friends would be, wandering down the roads chanting. And and then we saw him there in New York City. And there were some funny incidents at that time, because when Srila Prabhupada arrived, the temple president and the main sannyasi were Tamal Krishna and Adi Keshava Maharaj. And they were really, New York people. I don't know if they were from New York, but they had that kind of tough New York attitude. And so, excuse me, there was a little pep talk before, and all the guests were there waiting for Srila Prabhupada. And then they closed the doors of the temple room. And they said, so Prabhupada's coming. All right? I want you to keep those babies out of his way. Don't bring your babies over to him. And, they were giving that tough talk, And then Tamal Krishna Prabhu says, and I don't want you working the hole in the floor in front of Prabhupada. I mean, does Prabhupada want to see your mug, or does he want to see Radha Govinda? That kind of stuff. So all the guests were like, oh my God, who is this person? I want to get out of here. And then Srila Prabhupada arrives. He comes in like a swan. And he's just looking at every person. And they're just like melting from being in the same place as him. He's just like radiating this kind of inconceivable, compassion. I don't care what you are. I don't care what you did. I don't care anything. I've just come as an emissary of love and affection. And it just initiating so many people like Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev too. Gurudev was always like that. People would just stand in line to take initiation from him. And so there was the Rath Yatra, and Srila Prabhupada was on the cart, and then he got out, and this is in Washington State Park, and big, huge crowd. He's up on a little bit of a stage, sitting, and with the microphone, and there were speakers everywhere. And this guy in the back got up on a box, and he's going, "You're all going to hell, Jesus is the only," like the whole thing, like real heavy, rah! And then Brahmananda, who was standing next to, Brahmananda was a huge man, and he's standing next to Prabhupada, with this mood of protection, and he jumped off the stage. And I was standing there, and I couldn't really see what was happening, but the crowd was parting as he went along, and that man just went, "Yoop," and he was gone. Just like, zoop, he disappeared. And Srila Prabhupada's sitting there, like, looking at this, and he says, "Try to understand this Krishna consciousness with a cool head." It was very sweet. And then the last time I saw Srila Prabhupada was, it was in that temple room in New York City. And Srila Prabhupada was sitting way over here, and I was sitting by the back door because all the kids were playing. So we were kind of like taking turns, sort of making sure that nothing happens. And they were in the hallway. And Srila Prabhupada was talking about lolium. And that means intense hankering. And then he was saying, I can get a passport to leave my country, but to come to your country, I need a visa from your country. And he said, in the same way, by, the yoga system or anything, you can leave this world, but you cannot enter the divine world without a visa from that plane. And he said, and the visa has a price, and that price is lolium, that intense necessity. And he said, just like a child in a busy marketplace. I've never been to India at that time, so I didn't really understand what a busy marketplace looked like. It's like, Oshun or something like that. That's my idea of a marketplace. But then later I could understand there were hundreds and hundreds of people. And all of a sudden a child looks up and he can't find his mother. He's just in an ocean of strangers. And he's calling out for his mother with all of his being. He doesn't think, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I want something, anything. He needs his mother, and that's what he needs. And he's calling out. He said, this is the nature of lolium. Through our practicing life, and we begin to understand that we are helpless. That like Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur is saying, I'm no longer dependent on my own strength or qualifications. I'm simply dependent on your mercy. And this, that reminded me of that. And then I was just thinking, Srila Prabhupada, don't let me leave. Because you don't know, something can come and just sweep you away. And I was just praying, don't let me leave. I'm asking you, if I've done anything good, don't let me leave. Just don't let me. And then Srila Prabhupada turned over and he looked at me. And I felt that, that's possible, that I never will. Because I don't know, but it seemed that he kind of heard my prayers. He does. And somehow or other, by his grace, we heard about Srila Guru Maharaj. After his disappearance, we were like orphans. We didn't know anything but him. And but he left us the clue. And Satsvarup Maharaj came to Los Angeles, where we were living at the time. And he said, good news. he came from Srila Prabhupada's side. And he said, good news, Prabhupada is sending us to his godbrother. Yeah. He said, we will go to him for consultation, for advice, for, and his name is Sridhar Maharaj. And I thought, I was crossing the road after that class with my friend Sachi Devi, and we thought, we're going to be okay. And certain things happened, confusions, unfortunate confusion, but somehow or other, by the grace of Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Guru Maharaj, and my god brothers and god sisters who had gone there to see Srila Guru Maharaj, we managed to go and meet with him in 1985. And you were there, Maharaj.
I expect I was.
Yes, you were. You were in the cab when we were coming from the airport.
I was in the cab.
Yeah. When we were coming from the airport in Calcutta and going to, and then we got on the train, and then we were really, it was dark. I'd never seen anything like Navadvip. We were in the pitch dark on a rickshaw, and all there was this little candle in the front that didn't shed any light on anything. And we were buzzing like along, and I was like, where are we going? And we could see all the fires and people cooking, and it was really rural then. And we got to the Mat, and we got to have the darshan of Srila Guru Maharaj. And he heard from Sagar Maharaj, told Srila Govinda Maharaj that am I holding up?
No, absolutely. I don't know.
And, that we had lost our beads. Like, we just lost them. We didn't think, I'm sorry to say, we didn't think anything of it. We just got some new ones, just bought them at the store or whatever. And we were chanting on that. And that we had received Gayatri Mantra by hearing it from Bhagavan, who was the president of Detroit at the time. And we were living there. We didn't hear Guru Maharaj's voice. So both of those things were relayed to Srila Guru Maharaj. And Srila Guru Maharaj gave everything to us again. He gave us our beads and our mantra. So that was an undeserved miracle, that we got that full connection with Guru Maharaj again. And the last thing Guru Maharaj said was, Krishna is very far, but the devotees are near. So our full shelter is with the devotees. And then we got to start a temple in Guru Maharaj's name. And so many things happened. But anyway, were it not for Srila Prabhupada, we would never have had anything. Not the slightest connection with Mahaprabhu or our Guru Varga, our wonderful Guru Varga, Tulsi Devi, the temples, the holy name, the Shastras. Nothing. And so he is the emissary of mercy. And his voice gave soothing relief to the world. So we heard from Srila Guru Maharaj, and only he is qualified to say this, that he's the Shakti Vaishavatar of Nityananda Prabhu. Absolute, unconditional mercy to anyone and everyone. So I don't know how to really glorify Srila Prabhupada. We're still trying to have some vision of who this person is. And we can't possibly adequately say much about him, except that he is the cause of all of our good fortune. As Srila Gurudev said, he cut a channel in the ego of the Western person. And no one could be around Srila Prabhupada and doubt a thing he had to say. It was like it was just everything he said was just inserted into your consciousness. And you could see it. Oh, yes, of course. Of course we're a soul. Of course we're, it's like he'd had that power to really open your eyes and show you something that you couldn't have known before. He could just by his voice show you so many things. And he changed the whole world. And here we are with Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Maharaj.
I'm sorry.
Who's doing so much amazing seva in this world now. And I want to say, not without any etiquette or exaggeration, that Srila Madhusudan Maharaj is carrying something very valuable, inconceivable, precious, and fine, and just being the emissary to give this.
Hare Krishna. And you are seeing Srila Prabhupada, we are also seeing Srila Prabhupada.
I was just now wondering what you were showing, Srileka.
Actually, I was being very selfish. I was showing for myself at the beginning, then I thought, I should turn it so we're both seeing Srila Prabhupada. Because we don't, he's here. And this picture of Srila Prabhupada, can I turn it?
Yeah.
This picture of Srila Prabhupada is here, it lives on the wall beside Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. And constantly I feel Srila Prabhupada and Srila Guru Maharaj, they're watching to see how their mission has come, how their message has come to the West. And watching with satisfaction. Very beautiful picture of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, that picture is so... Srila Prabhupada, he's so powerful. He's speaking with so much power and influence, and he would walk down, and people would be bowing down, just bowing down to see him. But his really inner mood, what do I know about mood? But you could feel, that crying out quality, inconceivable humility, actually. Power couched in humility. And always feeling completely dependent, like you really can see that. It's not like, I'm a big, I've got about 1,000 billion disciples. It's never like that. It was just, can I do this for you?
And how long since you met Srila Prabhupada that first time, until you went to open a temple in Cleveland first, was it?
Oh,
and then
that was even before we met Srila Prabhupada personally.
So, since when you came to the mission?
Yeah, it was only maybe 6 months. Oh, no, more than that, because I came in February, I was married in November, and then right away after we were married...
Buried in November.
Married.
Oh, married. I think, what happened?
Well,
I thought I'd just clarify that for myself and maybe other people. Okay.
I wondered why you were so surprised. So I was married in November, and then I maybe...
Married.
And immediately we were sent to Cleveland.
By whom?
We were married in Detroit, and that would have been Bhagavan.
So through representative Srila Prabhupada, you're asked to go somewhere and just immediately...
And open a temple.
Then you're feeling Srila Prabhupada's sanction behind that, like power behind that.
Yeah, yes. For sure. Right. And then we just went to Cleveland and just started... Really, our program for opening temples was basically find a place and go out on Harinam. That was it. We didn't have any money. It wasn't like we had income. Our income was 100% from collections. Nobody worked in those days. Srila Prabhupada actually made an oasis. We didn't have radio, TV, no way to have something like the internet. We didn't have newspapers. We didn't have nothing. We were completely in this, like another world. And it was so wonderful. We didn't have a care in the world. We just got up early and early. Early. I remember after being in the temple for about 2 weeks, a teenager was used to sleeping till noon, and getting up at like 3:30 in the morning, and because the first arti was at 4, cold shower, and then we just worked all day. We didn't take naps, nothing like it. Going out and Harinam all afternoon, and then and then I was immediately going out in Harinam. I just joined the temple, like I'd been there twice, and I was out on Harinam, and people coming up and saying, "What's this about?" And I'm like, "I don't really know." It's really great, though. You want to come home with us? It's really great. It's about the absolute truth. Really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You should come home with us. But I didn't know any, I had to fill in all the blanks. But it was just so clear and obvious in the hearts of those persons who had that connection with Srila Prabhupada and who still do, who are still coming, in that line of Srila Saraswati Thakur, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Gurudev, coming and, ringing true that what was happening was so wonderful.
You are with those people.
Yeah, exactly, right? You meet the devotees and you're like, okay, now I've got it. Now I'm home. As Didi was saying last night, now I'm home. Now I'm at home. Finally I'm at home. Hare Krishna. And it's a long journey. There are many layers of karma and gyan over us. Well, over me, for sure. And those through our trying to find Krishna behind the lessons that are coming, the difficulties that are coming. And Maharaj, you said yesterday, everything is harmonized by deeper surrender.
That's Guru Maharaj.
That's a beautiful expression. So when we're finding so much disharmony, we don't actually know what to do. But what to do is to surrender, and then we can see. Guru Maharaj said, whoever you meet, you must meet them through your relationship with Krishna. And then see, what is my seva here? This person has come in front of me. What is my seva to you? Then all of our relationships will be very pure. Just what do you want me to do? What is my service to this person? I want to be of service, but what do I do? You have arranged this. Or any kind of situation, some that you just think, and maybe it is something that you have to leave or something that you have to fix. But you don't really know. We always have to be in consultation with the center. Then we can understand what is everything. But without the understanding over fixing that over there and that over there and that, and there's no end of it. So we're trying to remember all of these things that they came to teach us. And actually, when we met Srila Guru Maharaj, we realized, I don't really know Srila Prabhupada. I know that I have a relationship with him, that he knows he actually knew who I was. How is that possible? And, but he has friends. He has people who really know him, and we want to be with them. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When he was little, Srila Prabhupada's name was Kachori Mukhi. His mother used to call him Kachori Mukhi, which means kachori face. He always liked to eat kachori.
Did I ever know that? This is
I don't know.
One of the hidden secrets.
Yeah, Kachori Mukhi, Prabhupada told him.
And I have been to that place in Calcutta. I can't remember the name of the street now, but we went on pilgrimage one day in Calcutta to find where Srila Prabhupada was brought up and where he did that Rath Yatra in the street, the courtyard, all those things. And
You saw that?
Yes, but this was in the 1980s. And we went there.
Never been there.
And yeah, it was very sweet. Still felt very sweet. I mean, I suppose because we're going there with those thoughts.
Yeah.
And then later, when Srila Prabhupada, he'd been first in employment, and then he began his own business when he's in family life. And then presently he was in Calcutta at 7 Sita Kanta Banerjee Lane. And that's a very sweet part, like the sweetest place in Calcutta. And Calcutta is kind of a crazy city, sort of. I like it. But the sweetest place in Calcutta, like 7 Sita Kanta Banerjee Lane, or that little lane there.
Really?
It's very peaceful, very quiet, like a village. And the house, when I saw it, at least when I saw it, looked probably exactly as Srila Prabhupada had been, and the next door, then upstairs, a laboratory.
Yeah, I mean, when we went to Bhamanpar one of the times we went to Bhamanpar, it was, I mean, I don't know why, but it looked like something unworldly, just
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
unbelievable. It looked like everything looked completely alive, and I was astonished by it. Just that one time. But then you get this some feeling that where the Vaishnava descends, that's divine. It's like Chintamani. Like where they descend, they're not leaving the spiritual world, but they're there. They're become available for, Srila Guru. I have to say this because when he said this, I thought about Srila Prabhupada, because Guru Maharaj revealed, as only he can, that Srila Prabhupada is a cowherd boy. But one of the cowherd boys who brings, messages back and forth to Srimati Radharani for Krishna, that section of cowherd, and what do I talk? Well, we heard this, and Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj he said, sometimes when the cowherd boys and Krishna and Balaram are playing hide and seek, somebody, he said, sometimes they hide in the material world. So you never know where the Vaishnava is. You don't know who the Srila Guru Maharaj is. It's on a talk I have. He said, sometimes they'll go and hide in the material world. It's like, I'm going to go behind this illusory potency. He'll never find me here. So what's going on really around us, we really don't know, but we can change our relationship with the environment and see what we can see about truth. It's not a place, but it is what is coming, what is to be shown to us through surrender. Hari Bol.
Yeah. Then should we chant Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari?
Yeah.
And then have arati, and then have a feast in honor of Srila Prabhupada's appearance.
That's one thing, Srila Prabhupada.
Honor of little Krishna's appearance yesterday in the middle of the night also.
Krishna Kanta began the cooking
yesterday
with big pot of ghee.
Yeah. We thought it was just like a parade not to cook with ghee. You're cooking with oil. But, ghee was just over-flooding in our temples. We'd have vats of ghee, everything cooked in ghee.
Disciple of Srila Prabhupada.
And in Salt Lake City, we cook with ghee also. I don't know why. But Mahaprabhu has come with this. We're just always cooking with ghee. But it's a little expensive, but if you keep your eyes open, you can find a good, it's just, I don't know why, but that's just how it developed there. And also we're small potatoes.
There's already offerings.
Yes. Sure. Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Shri Vyasa Puja Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Appearance Day Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishva-varenya Worldwide Worshipable Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Srila Guru Maharaj Ki Jai Sabrika Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Gopinath Ju Ki Jai Giriraj Bala Gopal Ju Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari. Okay, sure. So page number?
Oh, we could even hear it.
Page number. Who's going to get the cookie this time? Oh, wow.
It's a little far for
It's,
us. So it's here in the beginning somewhere.
68. Page 68. One cookie for Krishna Saki.
Hare Krishna